What drew me to Islam? So I've always been quite religious. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and as I got older, I wanted to reconnect with God and kind of get back into religion. Um, I didn't really go looking for answers. They kind of came to me. I had a dream about Judgment Day and that I was like shaded and I was covered in like a hijab and a abaya. And then like small things were like happening to me. And then like one day I found like a book about Islam in my house, like randomly. I was reading it and I found like all the facts, like scientific evidence that's in the Quran. I found it really interesting and I was reading into it and I was like, this makes a lot of sense. Like I didn't know this. So that's like kind of what got me, like what sparked my initial interest. And then just kind of watching like YouTube videos, getting more information on the religion. And it was just more than I thought it was. I think there's like a lot of ignorance in the West that thinking like Islam is just this, really strict religion that's for Arab people. But it's so much more than that. And there's so much like spirituality behind it. So yeah. I think I think being a Reaver, there's definitely a sense of like imposter syndrome. I think sometimes feeling like, is this, I think I've never like, I've never doubted my beliefs, but I think sometimes you do kind of feel, because of like lack of knowledge and just like cultural stuff and ethnicity, you kind of do feel segregated and ostracized at times. Especially like, unfortunately, in certain communities, it does still exist. I think there's like a stereotype that, this is a religion for, the Arab people and the Asian people, but that's not true. Islam is for everyone. And I think especially like reverting so young, I definitely like felt that, not knowing nothing, not having anyone to kind of guide me. It was definitely a very lonely experience at the beginning. So kind of like trying to work through those challenges of feeling isolated, especially like so young, was quite difficult for me. And just like dealing with like a lot of people's ignorance. I think, especially like where I'm from, my community, I think a lot of people didn't know that I was a Reaver and just made assumptions on certain things. And, for example, going to the masjid, there are certain things like, I don't know how to pray yet, I don't know how to do this yet. And people are just kind of looking at me like, oh, you're Muslim, you should be like this, or you should be doing that. But they don't know the struggles that I'm going through and what, where I'm starting. It's all just kind of assumption. And then to the point where like people don't even know if they doubt that if I'm even Muslim anymore and they don't say Assalamu alaikum to me. That's been like quite challenging for me. Another challenge that I kind of experienced being a Reaver and a new Muslim was where I kind of sourced my knowledge from. I think when you're a Reaver, it's very like easy for people to come to you and be like, oh, did you know this? And did you know that? And because you don't know much or, you're lacking in knowledge, you're going to kind of take their word for it and believe it. So I think that it's important for new Muslims to kind of be very mindful where they get their knowledge and their information from regarding the deen, because there's a lot of, innovation that happens, unfortunately. So yeah, I'd say that was definitely like a challenge because, you're hearing things and then you find out from someone else, that there's no actually like, no, there's no sources to kind of back that up. So yeah, just being mindful of like where you get your knowledge from. It would have made me feel not so alone in my journey at the beginning. I think, alhamdulillah, like now times have changed slightly where there's less ignorance and people are more accepted. I think at the time, especially in the community that I was in, I had like pretty much no one. I didn't have any like guidance. I was 16. I didn't really like know who to go to. So just having like the basic kind of resources and sources of information is such like a good first step. And I think I felt very lost when I first joined. It's kind of like a bittersweet thing because you're happy that you've like now found this like beautiful thing that you get to be a part of, and you get to have a relationship with your creator and do it the right way. But then there's also like this loneliness that comes with it, and this kind of like anxiety because you're like, there's so much to learn and I don't know what to do and I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to say. And I think so many like new Muslims feel like that. And that's definitely something that I experienced, especially at such a young age. So I think having something like this would have been like, it would have meant a lot to me. And I think it would have been really beneficial. And it would have given me that kind of start to wanting to carry on with gaining more knowledge and kind of going on to the next step after praying and after learning, you know, after learning like the basics around Islam. So yeah. So I live in an estate, and in my estate, it's a masjid, but it's very small. So it's not like here where you have like, you know, centers and rooms. It's very small. It's literally just for praying, and then there's like a really small women's area. The masjid is probably literally like smaller than this room. That's where I done it. Yeah. I probably didn't receive my first Quran until about 6 months after I took my Shahada. And I think at first, like I would get like books from like friends and stuff, kind of like covering the basics and stuff, which was really nice. But like, I feel like this box is really good because it kind of simplifies everything. Like it's not just like a stack of books and, you know, here, read. I think it's kind of like the way that it's like even just displayed, you know, you have like the mat and then everything's outlined. You've got like the colors and like the cards, you know, like everything's kind of like sensory as well, which I think is nice and kind of like can appeal to different types of people, which is really cool.